Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at each personal month forecast for March 2023. Before we get into it, just know that these are different from the life path forecasts. So the calculations are different, and more than likely, the energy forecast is going to be different as well. So before you have a listen, make sure that you check the calculation to make sure that you're listening to the right one. This is, of course, a general reading. If you would like a personalized reading dedicated to your own personal numerology report, please book some time with me. My information is in the description box below, and I would absolutely love to work with you. All right, let's take a look. Personal month 9. So for you all, this month you may see sort of an emphasis on your connection to others, right? Like helping others, being more generous with your time, with your resources. This could be a great month for starting a new volunteer project, giving more of your, time, resources, whatever it is that you can contribute. This is a great month for that. 9 energy is that of the humanitarian. So anytime we're in a 9 cycle, it can ask us to find ways to be a little bit more giving, to not only find ways for our own empowerment, but help to empower others, right? Anything that we can do to incorporate sort of the all in our day-to-day lives. So it's a really beautiful, nurturing energy in that sense. You can also see, because this can also be a very spiritual energy. So again, you can feel very more deeply connected to source or to your higher consciousness, to self. This can be an energy where, again, there's a lot of sort of going within and really doing some soul searching, and also sort of coming back to the conclusion that, first and foremost, you have to follow your own intuition to be able to move most authentically on your journey, right? And so this can be a great month for getting, flexing that muscle and getting even more in touch with your own intuition and learning what that feels like for you and how to follow it and all those things. This can also bring about the energy of forgiveness and not holding a grudge, being the bigger person in a situation and doing whatever you need to do without self-sacrificing and without sacrificing your values and that sort of thing. But potentially being the bigger person and finding ways to release any heavy, burdensome, negative energy that's holding you back, right? So if there's a relationship that has been really toxic or tumultuous, right? You might not be able to heal that or do the work with that person in the physical, but you can absolutely work on forgiving that person energetically, right? To where you're releasing your tie to that person, that energetic hold that you have on each other, right? So that baggage that you continue to carry. So you may see some opportunities come up this month for finding ways to work with that energy, transmute it, release it, and move forward much lighter in the months that follow. And, it doesn't necessarily have to happen this month, right? But it could be that you get some ideas on how to best start that process, right? Whether that's going to therapy or something like that, or working with a healer or a shaman, or whatever it is that works for you. This could be a great month for that, right? That anything that will help you to release that baggage, right? That you're continuing to carry that isn't yours to carry anymore type thing. This can be a great month for that. You can also see some things coming to completion, but not in necessarily an abrupt way, more like in okay, I've completed this and now I'm tying the bow nicely and it's done, right? And you're sort of moving on to the next thing. So clearing one thing and moving on to the next. 9 energy is very receptive. It's typically not an energy where we would say, make those big bold new starts, do those big, bold new things. It's typically an energy where it's more receptive. So it's more like you've already done a lot of the work. You've weaved your web. Now you're just waiting for the nutrients to come to you, right? You've planted your garden. Now you're inviting the hummingbirds and the butterflies to come to you. So this can be a month for that. So, you'd be surprised at what might potentially show up for you this month. So be open to that. Big, beautiful opportunities can show up for you. New insights, new fresh ideas can show up for you through your dreams, especially through your daydreams, through something someone says to you, or just people presenting new opportunities for you. So again, this is kind of one of those months where you're sort of invited to sort of sit back a little bit and see what comes to you. Don't try to force anything. Don't try to like push through anything that you're getting a lot of resistance from, right? Because you're just going to wear yourself out. Now, what's interesting about this is because your personal month 9 actually falls within a universal cycle of 1. So you could potentially feel a little bit of push-pull here because you're going to have the universal energy that we're all working with of this ambitious, like assertive, go after what you want, take big risks, initiate action energy, right? Coupled with this very softer, more feminine, more receptive energy of the 9. So you're just going to have to find what works for you. You're going to have to find your own equilibrium and your balance with these energies. So for you, it may be that this month is more receptive, but also, there's plenty of opportunities for taking the initiative and being, in that leadership role with the things that present to you, right? So something may show up for you, and then you can feel the need to take initiative on that and go with it. And you would be supported with that because you're working with both the 9 and the 1. So again, it's going to come down to, I would say, just being very discerning about where it is that you invest your energy this month and how, right? And I would say that with any time, but especially when you're working with such strong energies of the 9 and the 1, just be very discerning about what am I going to just sort of put the brake on a little bit and just sit back and see what comes to me, and what is it that I need to take initiative on, put forth the effort, go for it, take the big risk and start now, because you're going to know whatever that is for you. Anything that's sort of you're met with resistance this month, I would say that is the biggest indicator that is something that you just need to chill out on, like relax, fall into receptivity mode and let things come to you. But the things where it feels like you've got the green lights all the way down the road, go for it. Take that initiative, take the big risk, go for it. So I would just sort of gauge it based on that, like where are you hitting resistance and where do you have the green lights? And if you can figure out how to use those energies for both, right, then you'll get a lot out of this month, potentially. Now, what's also interesting is this full moon that we have coming up on the 7th of March. You all are working with the energy of the 8. So what's interesting here is it's a full moon. So a lot of times full moons will indicate like something coming to fruition or completion. Now for you, this is 8 energy. So this may be something that is coming to completion around work, around finances, around resources. So maybe you sold your home and now you're closing and you are done with that, right? You're sort of reaping the rewards for that. You've done the work and now the rewards are coming to you. You could see that maybe there's a big project that you were working on at work and it's now being tied up and you are receiving the benefits of that. Anything like that, right? Because again, full moon, I would say there's probably something here about completion just because again, it's very much in a 9 personal month for you all. And it's associated with the 8 energy. So power, status, money, resources, any of those things. Also a very spiritual energy, so you could feel some deeper connection to, again, your higher consciousness, the spirit realm, whatever. And it doesn't have to be things coming to completion around the full moon, but because you're in that 9 cycle, I think that it's very possible. But again, it's these things coming to closure or completion and you getting the rewards for it and reaping, getting the recognition for it because of the effort you've already put forth, right? And so with this showing up around the full moon, being 8 energy, just makes me think it's probably going to be something around, again, like career or creative output or status or something like that. And then on the 21st or 22nd of March, depending on where you live in the world, we have a new moon. So new moons typically indicate some kind of new start, and setting in some kind of intention, planting the seeds, getting started on something new, right? Bringing in something new. For you all, this is interesting because you have the energy of the 13-4, which is all about death, transformation, rebirth. So change, change, change. And then the energy of the 14-5. Now, again, if we stay sort of in that same vein of new moon, new starts, then there's potentially going to be some kind of major shift or an indication of some kind of shift coming that has to do with the energy of the 14-5, which can sort of indicate finding your balance between personal personal self-expression, the need for freedom, the need for strong independence, sort of like living in excess a little bit, and the more restricted, sort of meticulous, sort of organized, structured, systematic energy of the 4. So you kind of, again, have this push-pull energy between, again, the more practical, pragmatic 4, the reality, let's put it that way, like, because 4 can bring the reality of a situation, right? It can say, okay, these are the limitations. Let's figure out how to overcome the limitations. We can't avoid the limitations, right? We have to deal with them. The 5 is like, let's just go. Let's just be free. Let's just, create and travel and have fun, right? So it's very much about that sort of pie in the sky, idealistic energy, and the very realistic sort of more grounded energy. And so for you all, with it being the 14-5 energy, I would say there's something here where you might want a lot more freedom around something, or a lot more creative self-expression around something, but there's some kind of reality check that you have to keep going through that keeps grounding you. And so the task is really to find, again, your equilibrium. Like, where is your center in that energy, right? Like, what feels good for you? Because, anything in extreme is not sustainable. So being too rigid, too pragmatic, too, overly detail focused is not sustainable, right? Whereas the same thing, living in excess, constant freedom to roam, sort of just scattered energy, that is not sustainable either. So it's really going to be around this new moon, some kind of shift or change in that dynamic, right? Like figuring out, how can I go after these big dreams and these big goals, while also maintaining some level of realism, right? So like recognizing, okay, these are my limitations. Can I overcome it? Because the 4 is not saying you can't do it. The 4 is saying, this is how it is. What do we need to do to overcome it, right? And it may be that it works out where it wasn't meant to be or whatever. But again, the 4 is going to restrict enough for you to pay attention to what it is that you need to make this successful and sustainable, right? So interesting energies that you all are working with. I do kind of see, like I said, a lot of sort of push-pull energy this month for you all. But again, what's beautiful about that is it sort of forces you to find your center within those energies. And it's going to be different for everyone and your circumstances, right? But there is definitely potentially a lot coming in for you around career, creative output, creative self-expression, more independence in something, more sort of freedom in something, while also staying grounded and realistic, right? And while keeping your eye on the prize type thing. And also being receptive and allowing those things to come to you that when you try to force it, you're met with resistance. So interesting energy for you all this month, but I think it's going to be beautiful. I think it has the potential to be really rewarding if you can find that sweet spot, right? Which you can. So I hope it's a great month for you all. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.